military point of view, the balance of power is pretty telling. The Iranian side has been significantly weakened, and it's looking to gain some time, and it will need a lot of time to get to enable the Islamic Republic to get back on its feet, to reestablish the same level of deterrence vis-à-vis its direct neighborhood. So that's for the Iranian side. On the Israeli side, there is obviously a lot of US pressure from the Trump administration, which has showed that it was ready to go all in, and we witnessed that through the midnight hammer operation involving the most sophisticated aircrafts in the American arsenal. But at the same time, Donald Trump is clearly signaling that he wants to switch to a new status of peacemaker, not a warmongering president. Well, the war in itself was obviously initiated by the Israel Defense Force, and when we look at the broader picture across the past 20 months, uh, obviously the Israeli agenda has managed to really weaken its nemesis, its worst enemy for more than 40 years. That's of course Iran, and also the different segments of its so-called axis of resistance. So again, these are only tactical victories, and each tactical victory carries with itself strategic challenges for Israel. So this is not the end of the story. It's all about temporality, of course, in this whole security equation. But regarding the conflicting sequence, Israel has, of course, benefited a lot from the past months in terms of the ceasefire or the dynamics that are leading towards it. Well, basically everybody is supposed to gain from it. Of course, the Iranian side has to save face and not exit this episode with a diminished aura. I mean, the military magnitude of its force is diminished, but it needs to show that it's a resilient regime, that it will keep its attachment to the Palestinian cause, to its willingness to enrich uranium and so on. And that's for the future. Right now, let's remember that we're talking about a ceasefire, which will lead to ulterior negotiations. And at that point in time, we will see how the postures might have evolved based on the new military setup. It will obviously be very tense because all parties have even more reasons than before to hate each other and to show distrust against each other. But at the same time, pragmatism will have to prevail somehow. If the Iranian regime gets sufficient assurance that its own survival is no longer at stake, maybe it will show some lenience on certain issues. That remains, however, to be seen. And the wild card remains the Israeli agenda. Of course, there is a momentum gathering across the Israeli political landscape, especially from the political opposition, which is calling to end the war now in Gaza, also to settle a deal with Hamas to get the final hostages back home and so on. But let's not forget that individuals who are in charge, and I'm of course referring to Prime Minister Netanyahu, the situation ultimately has not changed for a bit for him, since his personal political survival still depends on his ministerial immunity. So the sooner the whole war dynamics ends, the sooner he will risk ending up his political career or even ending in jail because of all the judicial problems that he bears with him. Well, European countries and Gulf Arab countries share a common feature. They have only been relegated to the status of spectators of what's been unfolding these last months. The Israelis have clearly taken the initiative. After a few months of destabilization following Hamas's attack in October 2023. But since then, on one side, European countries have basically been condemning military strikes from wherever they originate. They have been reaffirming their attachment to Israel's right to defend. That's another aspect of things. But basically, all they have been doing is promoting diplomacy at a moment in history where the military logic has clearly overshadowed all diplomatic considerations. Now we're going back towards diplomacy, but following a new military equation. And when it comes to Gulf Arab states, where they are extremely badly put, they must be on one side infuriated vis-a-vis Israel, the US, etc., for generating so much turmoil at such a critical time for their respective economic reform plans like the Saudi Vision 2030 and so on. At the same time, they are extremely embarrassed vis-à-vis Iran, especially Saudi Arabia, following the 2023 rapprochement. And this explains why Gulf states have collectively condemned the strikes on the Iranian sovereign territory. And that's the common denominator. It's always this red line, this risk of seeing national sovereignty being trespassed. And so voila, the whole bunch of actors involved will now need to to reassure Gulf states. Well, the relatively low-level retaliatory operation of Iran towards U.S. bases in Qatar, notably, finds its explanation in the sheer reality that military assets have been significantly diminished. The missile stockpiles are still partly there, but they are not infinite. So pragmatism came to the front, I believe. And when we hear that there are still some threatening messages emanating from Tehran, I personally believe it's mostly rhetoric, and it resembles a little bit what the former Syrian regime with President Bashar al-Assad used to do at each time that Israel used to target their territory. It was messaging about we will retaliate in due time according to the parameters that we will deem appropriate. But retrospectively, we witnessed several decades without a single bullet fired from Syrian territory. So it's kind of the sad translation of a disbalanced relationship there.